Welcome to Connections with BCD Travel, an ongoing conversation about the modern-day travel program, the impact of technology, and how travel buyers can take control and drive change. What are we waiting for? Let's start connecting.
Welcome back to Connections, everyone. I'm your host, Chad.
And I'm your co-host, Miriam.
And we want to hear from you. Connect with us using our website at bcdtravel.com/podcast or using the streaming service you're using right now to listen to us.
You know, the term AI has integrated its way into so many conversations in business travel these days, but at the root of AI is data.
I totally agree. But have you ever stopped to think about how AI can make you go from perfectly acceptable to exceptional? Well, that's what we're going to explore today.
On this episode, we welcome back April Bridgeman, Managing Director of BCD's consulting arm, Advito. And she's here to share some thought-provoking concepts, not just about AI, but how travel data is changing thanks, in part, to a smart use of AI.
Fun fact, April was the guest star on one of our most listened to episodes ever. So I'm excited that she's back. So let's do it. April, welcome back. Before we jump into today's topic, we just crossed the halfway point in 2025.
Yay.
We just finished GBTA convention. What's your take on business travel right now? What's catching your attention?
Actually, many things, but I just have to go back to this earlier comment. I thought that my last episode that I was on was the most listened to. It's so sad to hear that I'm only one of the most listened
For so long you were.
Anyway, let's hope I can, I don't know, regain that bragging right after today. In any case, I don't know. I'd say one of the key things grabbing my attention is just how many platforms there are out there that are existing and up and coming that are truly, not like we said 6 to 7 years ago, but providing end-to-end business travel solutions and oftentimes more. I am a huge fan of a few younger companies out there that have really decided that they are going to double down not just on the travel booking experience, not just on expense, but really taking a lot of the friction out of travel for employees by putting a great payment mechanism in place or a few options so the travelers don't have to worry about filling an expense report anymore. The companies can see more in real time what's happening with their travel budget and those expenses and be able to forecast easier. It's actually pretty amazing how simple the travel process can be for travelers that are using some of these solutions. And I think they're proliferating very, very quickly. So that's probably my latest business travel crush.
You and the rest of the Advito team are noticing some factors that are transforming what businesses can do with data, right?
Absolutely. We've actually been experimenting for some time with the capabilities that our own data platforms and software bring to the table, particularly around the use of AI and AI's use, whether it's using generative AI and LLMs, natural language queries, so writing prompts, or it's machine learning and now agentic AI, which is proliferating unbelievably quickly in the marketplace. It's so hard to keep up. As many of my colleagues know, I go down these TikTok rabbit holes to understand all of the things going on with AI, and I'm constantly sending them to people. But there's so many new things that you can do with all these different types of AI. They are truly transforming what we can do with our data. Just as a quick example, the ability to query using natural language in your dashboards to ask amazing questions of your data that have heretofore been unanswerable is so huge, but you have to become really great at writing those prompts. So you get that amazing output from your dashboard. And I think that's maybe an area that a lot of people, not just in our industry, but around any business, need to really work on.
Well, let's start at the beginning. When the Advito team works with clients, how are they optimizing their data analysis with AI? And what could they be doing differently?
You know, we started at the beginning, and that's really in using AI to more effectively bring together multiple data sets. When you go beyond looking at your own travel data, your own agency data, and you bring in your rest of your spend data, your card data, your expense data, but even more importantly, data that can drive other insights like rate and fare availability data, like all of your contract terms, like things like traveler sentiment, sustainability. You get a much more robust picture. And so we have really cut significantly the time and effort related to matching all of those data sets accurately so our data analysis can be richer and more insightful. Um, so that's step one. We've already spent a lot of time on that. We have then, or I should say, we have been turning our attention to how we use AI in the analytics piece. And you'll see us, along with many, many others, are introducing dashboards that have the feature where you are able to ask the dashboard questions to come up with on the fly analysis and drive conclusions and actions.
But we all know that company policy is a specific driving factor in how people are using AI professionally. April, anything worth noting on how policy is driving AI effectiveness, especially around data analysis?
Sure. It's been really interesting to see how different companies are handling the use of AI in their organizations today. And you have companies that are very, very conservative and have really limited or even locked down use of AI for anything related to business purpose. And then you have companies where the CEO is embracing AI and not just encouraging, but expecting every employee to start using AI in their day-to-day work lives.
Mm-hmm.
And those cultural differences, those policy differences, I think are going to have a huge impact on a company's speed to market
Mm,
and ultimately how successful they are longer term with their products and services. Because I think it's really, really easy to get behind right now
mm.
because the pace of change, the pace of AI capabilities is probably unlike anything we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And you gotta try, maybe not to fully keep up, but at least start playing the game if you haven't already, taking an interest, being curious, even if you're not able yet for policy reasons, cultural reasons in your organization, it's in your own best interest to start understanding what AI is capable of in all aspects of your life. So I can't encourage people enough to educate themselves.
But if my company doesn't allow me to use AI or at minimum limits my use of AI, in your opinion, am I still able to become this data guru and extract all these new insights efficiently? How am I able to keep up with my competitors?
If ultimately companies that are quite tight about AI utilization and experimentation, I'm not quite sure people will stay in line with their competitors. And I think that's a real risk.
Mm.
And the most an individual can do in that situation is to advocate for a looser policy and the ability to experiment within some boundaries, or at least drive education throughout their employee base until they figure out how they're going to start using it in a more day-to-day fashion for their operations or for their clients.
Let's talk efficiencies for a second. It goes without saying that using AI in the business world can bring incredible efficiency. But what efficiencies are you saying will be gained around data analysis specifically?
So interestingly, I think that analysis that used to be what I'll call really hairy and time consuming can be automated without doing a lot of the back end programming to automate the analysis. If you have a platform that is hooked up or has agents that can hook up, when I'm talking about agents, I'm not talking about travel agents, I'm talking about AI agents that can hook up with your key data sources and key tools. The ability to automate analysis goes from a very potentially many week, months lift to simply writing a prompt. Um, and I think that's going to be a fundamental, huge difference. Um, Also, around data, I talked earlier about our efforts to drive efficiencies and accuracies and higher match rate and how we bring data together. We have increased our match rate by 10 points using AI around data matching. We have also reduced the time it takes to match data sets by over 50%. And I see us continuing to get that time and effort level and accuracy level improved.
April, are you able to give us an example that really highlights kind of what you've been talking about?
Absolutely. We see so many use cases, some of which we've already solved and some of which we're working on in the hotel area. So basically, let's just take building a solicitation list.
Okay.
Right now, most clients, when they're going through their hotel RFP process, they work from a list of hotels that they have used in the past. Either people have booked and it's not preferred or they're preferred. They use a limited number of variables to assess how well those hotels are performing in their program and to determine if they should add other hotels. And it's really, really limiting because you're looking at a universe of properties that is limited to where your travelers have bothered to stay, but there's so much more than that. Um, there are factors to be considered about new hotels that are going up, hotels that have been renovated, being able to match hotels in a certain market that meet a certain type of characteristic. So right now we have a lot of customers that might have a four-star hotel at 100 full service hotel, by the way, at $160 a night. That's preferred. They might have a limited service hotel that's 3.5 stars, and it's only $120 per night. And it really confuses travelers. So we
Mm-hmm.
have found a way to use AI, literally writing a very detailed prompt in our dashboards that already have all the data that we need hooked up to them. And we're asking the machine, okay, tell us based on a long list of factors, and we've identified what those factors are, and we've weighted the importance of some of those factors, what the best solicitation list in New York City would be for this client.
Mm,
And when we do that, we end up getting back lists of hotels that meet certain criteria that are much more robust than what we're using today. So that list will include really only the hotels that are in the preferred program today that are really performing well. And not only are we getting a better set of recommendations out of that process because we're not just looking at companies' own historical hotel patterns, but it takes us maybe 1/10 the time to produce that list.
yeah, this is hours and hours of analytics to
Hours and
come to a
hours.
solicitation list.
Absolutely. And, it's not like that's going to save us money right out of the gate because let's be honest, we've had to invest quite a bit of
Right,
money
right.
into the ability to be able to do this, into the technology behind it, into the data sources and hooking them up, et cetera. But having a more accurate, more valuable, more insightful and strategic solicitation list is really going to help improve outcomes for hotel programs.
Yeah, that's a great example. All right, so let's talk about data visualizations. Data visualizations and understanding them are so key to becoming this data guru we talk about. So how do you see AI helping travel managers understand visualizations better or create them easier? Are there any examples you can share with us like that?
Absolutely. I think what's really interesting is right now, we've all, when I say we all, Advito, our competitors, TMCs, expense management tools have really tried to build analytics to answer the questions travel managers need
Yeah.
to help them drive better outcomes, better KPI results, OKRs, et cetera. And even despite that, there are so many questions that the analytics just can't answer today, or at least answer easily. And you still have to dig around, look at multiple
Mm-hmm.
visualizations, maybe mess with a spreadsheet to kind of get to an outcome that these days you can easily write a prompt if you can write prompts well. To get answered much more quickly. So, I guess, another question we have asked our data and are starting to, we're actually experimenting with the best way to prompt this data is to monthly go in, or even regularly, I should say, go in and say, hey, which properties should I be thinking of adding to my hotel program? And which properties should I be thinking of actually moving away from? So maybe canceling my contract with them because they're just underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and right now, it takes a lot of work and analysis to come up with that list. And so we do it on a monthly basis, but it would be amazing if you go into your analytics platform, you pick from a list of pre-established prompts, and hopefully there's one there around this question, which, I think a lot of companies prepare one, and you ask the question and it will just come back with a list that factors in all of the variables that are really important to you that are going to drive the outcomes you want. So let's say you're really focused on driving down your average book rate. It will come back and tell you, which properties
Or
will
driving
help you
up.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If sustainability is important, it will bring back properties that not only will help you decrease your ABR, but also improve your sustainability score. And this translates into all aspects of your program, not just hotel.
You've hinted at this a few times during the conversation, but all of this is dependent on the user themselves and how skilled they are, not only with AI, but their familiarity with their own data. What skills do you think travel managers specifically should have in their tool belt?
Right now, I think everyone needs to be focusing on how to write prompts.
Yeah, for sure.
And, certainly writing a prompt to help you, like I just did, write a recommendation for your daughter for your sorority during Rush, um, is quite a bit different than the kind of prompt you will need to write in an analytics platform to get the kind of result you want.
Hmm.
Um, but you'll gain some knowledge just by practicing prompting around other things, around what's going to get you the best outcome. So I don't want us to just be out there using AI egregiously. It's got a big impact on our environment when we do, but start experimenting, start learning how to write prompts, ask whatever LLM you happen to use, if it's ChatGPT, if it's Perplexities, if it's Claude, to help you learn how to write prompts. Explain to it what you want to accomplish and ask it to improve your prompt. Ask it to
Mm-hmm.
give you tips. Um, Definitely learn and think about writing prompts. All of the companies that do deploy AI enabled, natural language enabled query in their analytics platforms will have standard prompts available for you. That's just one of the features. But if you really want to become more of an expert and get more value out of the data that is available to you, writing your own prompts is going to be super important. The better you are, the better the analytics will be, the more actionable they'll be, the more insightful they'll be, the more you'll be able to move the needle on some of your efforts.
So do you see this becoming a necessary skill for travel managers across the board?
I think it's a necessary skill for everyone who's walking, talking, and breathing.
Fair enough.
Well, we can't end this episode without asking you about responsible use. And I know you just touched on it a little with sustainability, but what things do you suggest travel managers keeping in mind as they try to upskill?
Yeah, I'd say keep in mind what your company's policy is first and foremost and make sure you follow it. But that doesn't mean you can't experiment and learn. Just when you are experimenting with AI, try to use it for things that will truly make a difference in your personal life and truly automate something that you would take quite a while to do, or actually allow you to learn more and apply new knowledge to your business. Don't just play with it to play with it, because as I did mention earlier, there is a sustainability impact. I think I heard something funny where just saying please and thank you, the cost of please and saying thank you, the compute cost, the sustainability impact is huge. So, so just be careful. But one thing I highly do encourage, and it's a great way to practice your prompts, is anything you're trying to be curious about at work, use the AI for research.
Yeah.
Use the AI to help you gain a perspective and even write a brief, write a presentation on things that are related to your job that don't necessarily require you to input any confidential information if that's a concern for your organization.
Right.
The amount I have learned by asking ChatGPT questions on particular topics. One of my favorite topics right now is around digital merchandising. Is staggering and stunning, and it really helped me form the basis of a paper I wrote for my company on the topic. It really helped me also learn how to refine the prompt as I went through that process. So definitely use it to do research and things that are productive in your personal life.
Are you a normal data analyzer, Miriam, or a data guru?
I gotta say, I'm close to being a data guru. I'm really eating up this AI stuff. I'm using it quite a bit in my personal life, and just as a manager of people and a team, I really get excited about a task of analysis that doesn't take 2 weeks and a couple analysts getting together, right? And then I could potentially one day just make a really good prompt and get a dashboard.
Absolutely. I know you love a dashboard.
I love a good dashboard.
That's right. That's all for this episode, folks. Have some feedback for us? Just connect and let us know. Until next time.
Thanks for connecting with us. BCD Travel helps companies travel smart and achieve more. We drive program adoption, cost savings, and talent retention through digital experiences that simplify business travel. Learn more about the topics you heard on this episode by visiting bcdtravel.com/podcast.